President Biden's re-election campaign is shifting into a whole new gear. He's coming off the biggest political fundraiser in American history at New York's Radio City Music Hall, where he brought in a record $26 million. Thursday's lavish event featured comedian Stephen Colbert and two-term Democratic presidents, Clinton and Obama, who gave his former vice president a glowing endorsement.
It's not just the negative case against the presumptive nominee on the other side. It's the positive case for somebody who's done an outstanding job in the presidency.
All that presidential star power has added to Biden's massive money advantage over Donald Trump. Even before Thursday's historic haul, Biden had more than twice the cash on hand as Trump. And unlike Trump, who's swamped with legal bills and using some of his cash from donors to pay them, Biden's bucks will actually be spent on his campaign. The Biden-Harris campaign has already launched a new TV spot urging Nikki Haley voters to choose them over Trump, part of a $30 million nationwide ad blitz.
Use not presidential timber.
I don't need votes. We have all the votes we need.
She's gone haywire.
There aren't that many never-Trumpers anymore.
How do you bring these Nikki Haley voters back into the tent?
I'm not sure we need too many.
The campaign also unveiled its Philadelphia headquarters earlier today, one of the more than 100 field offices opened in battleground states. And it's not just the nation's top Democrat who's building momentum. This week in deep red Alabama, a Democrat flipped a state house seat by openly running on reproductive rights. Her decisive win could be a harbinger of how successful the issue could be for Democrats up and down the ballot this November. As for Trump, the man hit with 4 indictments on 88 felony counts continues to run on a message of law and order. At the wake on Thursday for a New York City police officer killed on duty, he mouthed words in support of law enforcement, saying, quote, "Police are the greatest people we have." Never mind that Trump has called those in jail for physically attacking police officers during the insurrection on January 6th hostages, and has pledged to free them if he wins the White House in November. Trump's visit to Long Island was his first public appearance outside of a courtroom in more than a week. All those cases against him are proving to be very expensive for Trump's campaign. The New York Times reports, quote, Trump has averaged more than $90,000 a day in legal-related costs for more than 3 years, none of it paid for with his own money. Trump has a big fundraiser coming up a week from tonight at his Florida home, an event his campaign claims will top Biden's $26 million event. No matter how much is raised, according to the Associated Press, Trump's attorneys will get a cut of that money. This won't be like the Democratic Jamboree at Radio City Music Hall. AP reports the main party favor at the Mar-a-Lago Fete will be a personalized copy of Trump's coffee table book. And don't expect any A-list celebrities. Heck, don't expect former Republican President George W. Bush or Trump's VP Mike Pence to share the stage with him. Both have declined to endorse Trump. Joining me now, Jamie Harrison, chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Chairman Harrison, as always, thank you for coming to the Saturday show. So take us inside Radio City. What was the mood like?
It was electric, Jonathan. But we were unified in purpose. And seeing those 3 presidents on the stage, these are the things that popped in my head. Honesty, decency, integrity. Those are 3 servant leaders. And that's something that Donald Trump doesn't know anything about. These are people who understand that this country is about hope over fear. It's about progress over chaos. And it was amazing to see them there together, unified. And frankly, that is something, and you mentioned this in your opening, that's something that you won't see on the Republican side. I don't think you're going to see George W. Bush on the same stage as Donald Trump, because people understand that Trump has become a cancer for American democracy, and they don't want to be affiliated and to stand up with that.
So, I mean, you just touched on this a little bit, but I'm wondering, politically and nationally, what message does it send that the president has the support of 2 former presidents, but also pop culture icons like Lizzo?
Well, it's just important because people know what's at stake. America's freedom, America's role as being the beacon of freedom and hope, not only for the country, but for the world. All of that is at stake. And these are presidents who've been in the Oval, who have had tough times, and they understand the hardships of having that weight of a country on them. But they also understand that these are unprecedented times that we're in, and that we as a country cannot afford to have Donald Trump, a man who really was at the heart of the insurrection that we saw at January 6th, a man who has said that he wants to be a dictator on day one, a man who believes that immigrants poison the blood of this nation, when this is a nation built of immigrants, right? He is fundamentally against everything that we stand for or want to represent in the world. Everything that is good, Donald Trump is contrary to that. And these two other presidents decided to stand up with Joe Biden because they know he's a good man. He's a decent man. He's a man that wakes up every day thinking about how to make America better for all of America's people, not just a select few.
Chairman Harrison, today, still talking about Donald Trump. He posted a video online of an image of President Biden tied up on the tailgate of a pickup truck. The communications director of the Biden-Harris campaign responded by saying, and I'm quoting, "Trump is regularly inciting political violence, and it's time people take him seriously. Just ask the Capitol police officers who were attacked protecting our democracy on January 6th. I think for good reason, we are not going to show the image, Chairman Harrison, but what's your response to Trump doing such a thing?
You know, this is emblematic, Jonathan, of who Trump really is. He's a broke, small, thin-skinned wannabe dictator who's calling for a bloodbath when he loses his election in November. This is a man who is regularly inciting political violence. And people need to understand that these threats need to be taken seriously, and we should make sure that this man does not get anywhere close to being able to go back into the White House. And that's why Democrats are working night and day to do what is best for the American people. And we are looking forward to November when we will show Trump once again, once and for all, that there's no room in our democracy for his extremist behavior.
So as I mentioned in the intro, Chairman Harrison, reproductive rights is still proving to be a very salient issue. Just this past week, a Democrat running openly as supportive of reproductive rights flipped a state House seat. And now Missouri Democratic Senate candidate Lucas Kunce just released a powerful ad about Ohio Republican Senator Josh Hawley's opposition to IVF. Listen.
After years of trying and disappointment and struggle and health scares, I just had this beautiful baby, and I held her, and I just knew I was meant to be her mom. Now there are efforts to ban IVF, and Josh Hawley got them started.
So how important am I overstating it? I mean, will reproductive rights be a help to Democrats up and down the ballot this November?
Well, Jonathan, we saw it in Ruby Ridge, Alabama. We've seen it in Kentucky. We've seen it in Pennsylvania. We've seen it in Florida. And I think Lucas's ad demonstrates what we all know, that what Americans in every corner of the nation already know, that Trump and his MAGA extremists are dedicated to ripping away the type of procedure that allowed women like Jessica in the ad to bring new life into this world. That they are fundamentally ripping away women's reproductive freedoms to control their own bodies. You know, I'm 48 years old, and in my lifetime, we've been gaining rights up until this moment in which this right-wing Supreme Court ripped away the women's rights to control their bodies. And we know that this is a slippery slope, and if we have to stop it, we have to nip it in the bud right here, and that is why this election is so important, and that's why we got to compete in every corner of the country. I don't care if you're the reddest state, the reddest district. We need folks to step up, to run for office, and to make sure that this is a core component of their message to the American people. And I think we'll win with that.
Okay, I just want to correct myself. I said Ohio Democratic Senate candidate. I meant Missouri Senate Democratic candidate Lucas Kunce. One more thing. We're already over time, Chairman. But the DNC put out a diss track directed at Lara Trump, the co-chair of the RNC, who released her own music the same day as Cowboy Carter. We're going to play this real quick. And then just play it real quick.
Lara Trump, what's going on? You're running the RNC, but it's a sad song. Fundraising's low, can't make the mark. Republicans losing, it's getting dark. Oh, Lara, what have you done?
Mr. Chairman, you got 10 seconds to answer this question. Are you worried about trying to upstage Beyonce?
Oh, no, not at all. But what we want is Lara to keep focusing on her music career while we focus on winning elections over at the DNC. The RNC is broke. They're embarrassing, unserious, and they're a big waste of money.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.